Okay. Reads. What time is it? Okay. Hey, lots of time. Okay, it's okay. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna have a little chat. Hot chocolate. Don't ask for no cream for hot chocolate. It's good though, but my God, what a mess! First time I drink hot chocolate with a straw. Okay, never mind that. How you doing, you?
I'm well, Charles. How are you?
And your name is?
Matt DeCourcey.
Matt DeCourcey, and you're the
Member of Parliament for Fredericton.
You know, just coming down here, I said I got questions for Matt DeCourcey. Do you have any question? Who's him?
Oh yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah.
I said, who's that? I said, he's the MP. Oh, is he? The people, I know you do your utmost to meet the people, but you still got that problem? People going out and say...
Well, I think the reality is that people are busy with their own lives, and they don't have time to worry about who I am every day. They've got jobs to work at, they've got families to feed, they've got their own things to do, so... You're right, I'm as visible as I can be when I'm in the community, continue to knock on doors and meet people, and sometimes that's the best way to get to know folks, because as many activities or events as there are in the community, there are people who just don't have the means or the time or the interest to get there, and so to go see them at their door is an important part of being a representative.
And I saw you at events, you always had that sign.
It's great to be around the community.
Nope, it's good. You're doing better than Kate Ashfield. Don't answer that. Okay, how's your health?
My health?
Yeah.
I feel good.
You feel good?
I feel good.
No problem?
Yeah. Getting enough sleep and enough fitness activity.
Everything's fine? Everything, medical check, everything?
Yeah, all good. All good. Yeah.
You have a girlfriend or something? You have a relation or...
Well, that's
you could ask like Trudeau. Pierre Trudeau's none of my business. But,
I won't say that, but maybe I'll just keep that aspect of my life.
Are you a bachelor?
I'm not married, no kids.
No, I know. Oh, okay.
Is that fair?
That's fair. Okay. No, just want to know. Some people ask me about Brian Gallant. I asked him point blank, what is he now? This was 2 years ago. He told me he was straight, had no kids. He's getting married this summer with 18 horses and carriage. And
I haven't seen all the details, but I do know that he's engaged now.
So you have no relation. You're a bachelor in Ottawa.
Not engaged.
Not engaged, but you're a bachelor.
And when I'm in Ottawa, I'm not engaged there either.
No. The public guy.
Yeah, of course.
We're not the National Enquirer here.
No.
You know.
I'm sure there's.
I could read your eyes. Okay, next question. Okay, electoral reform.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no, never mind that. So I give you a hint what I'm going to talk about next. Is the rock star era over for Justin Trudeau? Is it finally going to settle down?
Well, there's certainly a lot of things that we need to get accomplished.
The Trudeau there, his image, like people's selfies, and we seen here a couple of months ago when, by the way, that was good. That was acknowledged as media. That was a good experience.
Well, it was good to have you there when he was here in January, and it was good. There were about 600 people in at the event, and there was a big demand for others to be available. I think what was important with that is that it was a substantive chance for people to ask questions and get answers, and I've seen Trudeau, the Prime Minister's ability to do that right across the country. I think everybody knows that we need to be there to answer the questions of Canadians and work hard on policy matters, both domestically and internationally.
Is the honeymoon over? You think it's now? Is it getting a little bit?
The whole concept of a honeymoon is something that I think the media tries to portray right from the very beginning.
I'm fake news. So anyway.
Well, I would never make that claim, Charles. My goodness, but
exaggerate news.
I mean, we got to work quite early on. You'll recall right away working on the Syrian resettlement matter with all of Canadians. The very first thing we did in government back before Christmas in 2015 was bringing a tax break for middle class and raise taxes.
We'll get to that. We'll get to
1%. So I mean, there's been no honeymoon. In the way that we've been working and dealing with the issues that Canadians face.
See, we want people to listen what Matt DeCourcey has to say. We'll try to make it short to the point. Politicians are more long-winded than me, you know. Did I say that? I don't know. See, I haven't had coffee for 22 days, and it's 20 after 10. Okay.
There's lots of sugar, though.
Oh, yeah, I know. Maybe you're in big trouble. Okay. Electoral reform. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that a lie? What would you call it? Was it a failure? What, you were involved in it?
I
You
was
were here,
involved
the
with it.
citizen across the country, what
Yeah.
they wanted. What happened there?
Well, we made a commitment to, in trying to move past the first past the post system, to consult with Canadians broadly. I had the pleasure of serving on an all-party committee
Yep.
that traveled across the country, that held meetings in Ottawa with both academics, people with an expertise in the issue, and ordinary Canadians. It's a complex file for people to understand.
I went to a meeting once to explain. Somebody from Ottawa, they had Skype, and
Okay.
my God, like you said, it was confusing.
Well, it is, and as much as people are familiar with the current system in place, there's still some unfamiliarity there. To change the system, in my view, would take, I think, a better understanding on the part of a larger number of Canadians, and also an indication that there was a consensus around a preferred model to change toward.
So why did Trudeau just suddenly decided no?
Well, there's three reasons why I think it was smart not to move ahead. One, it was clear to us through our consultations and conversations with people locally and across the country that there was no consensus on whether a change should be made and what that change should be. The second part was there was no clear path to accomplish this and have it validated by Canadians. I am not a fan of doing this by referendum. I think a referendum can become a question about something else altogether, and can provide an answer to a different question than the one that is actually being asked. And the third part, and this was corroborated by the outgoing chief electoral officer, is that any major change would be incredibly difficult to accomplish in a responsible way by 2019.
Is it because he realized if he did this, the two major political party wouldn't be as strong in the future?
Oh, I don't think there's any guarantee on what a new system would mean for any of the political parties, and I think that Canadians would need to understand better what the landscape might look like if you change the political system. One of the perceived benefits of the system that we have now is it allows a governing party to fulfill its mandate as best as possible. In a time where there's some international uncertainty, I think it's...
So is it a failure? Electoral reform is out the door.
I
Is
don't
that
at
a
all see it as a failure. I know that there will be people in this community who will be disappointed about it, and I'm...
What do you tell them? In a short answer, what do you tell them? What
I
happened?
say I understand. Well, like I told you, I think it was responsible of us not to move ahead at this point. But I don't think that closes the door on a significant reform to the electoral system in the future. And also, we are fulfilling our commitment to increase the access to voting rights for Canadians both in Canada and abroad, repealing some of the legislation that was brought in by the previous government.
B51. Give me a latest on that one.
So there...
Do they, if bloggers goes and put cameras in a politician's face, are they going to be arrested? Oh, that was the one under Stephen Harper.
No, certainly not. Not if you put the camera in my face. I welcome the opportunity to chat with you. On C51, part of our answer was to bring in that all-party parliamentary oversight committee to our security agencies. That's passed third reading in the House of Commons and is now at the Senate. So
Senate, oh my God! Don't start making me shake. My God, I want to elect the Senate, not the point. Anyway, never mind. Sorry. So is at the level of the Senate, and what's going to happen next?
Well, they will go through the same process that we went through, and we expect that it will pass into legislation in the near future. The establishment of an oversight committee that will include members of both the House of Commons and the Senate.
So what's going to change?
And different parties. Well, that committee will be able to proactively keep an eye on the way that our security agencies operate. So that's the first thing, and also be able to review actions that are taken. So proactively keep an eye on the activities of security agencies and review any actions taken
But by the law, can they arrest protesters, native protesters that's protesting against the pipeline under B51? I think they could do that now.
No, there are criminal code provisions that, that are separate altogether from anything that was brought in C51. I mean, the law is the law there. We're not going to criminalize anyone for any lawful, peaceful protest. We absolutely respect the right.
What's the definition of
citizens.
lawful? That's the question.
Well, it's in the criminal code, Charles. I mean, it's what it's been for years.
So what Stephen Harper brought in, the Liberals, they're not going to change it? They're not.
There are going to be other modifications to this law. This is the first step.
You will let me know when you find out?
Absolutely. I'm happy to keep you up to speed on it. But again, peaceful protest is a hallmark of what is available to Canadians under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which we just celebrated 35 years
Yeah,
of last week.
here in Fredericton, they shut down blogs and everything, and they arrest bloggers. But anyway, never mind that. Never mind me. This is you. What do you think of my T-shirt?
You're wearing a Donald Trump memed T-shirt.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Looks good on you.
So what do you think of Donald Trump?
Well, I think he's the elected president of the United States.
Duh.
He's the he's the head of that country's government, and the head of state, and in the U.S. And he's the person that we deal with on a lot of different issues. As you've seen, the Prime Minister has been able to strike what I think is a professional and good working relationship with the president.
I think
we hear things that come out of the president's mouth that we would always say to Canadians, look, stay calm.
He must have ADHD, huh? Trump must. Come on, he speaks before thinking. He has to have.
I'm not a medical professional.
I mean, I am. I have ADHD. I speak before thinking. He has to.
Yeah, I couldn't say that.
It makes interesting times, though. In the next 4 years, everybody will be listening to the news every night. If Hillary Clinton would have won, nobody would be interested.
Well, it's certainly interesting times in our relationship, but the Canada-U.S. relationship remains strong. I mean, we have tremendous people-to-people ties with the U.S., a great trading relationship, $2.4 billion worth of goods and services goes across the border every day. And we actually have great indications and working plans with the U.S. to ensure that our borders remain free for people to travel and for goods to go back and forth. There are some trade irritants like softwood lumber, like dairy, but that's nothing new to our relationship, and we continue to just.
So you don't think one day he's just going to build a wall between because he's pissed off that there was no cold ice cream. So it was too much cold air coming from Canada, so he thinks he's going to build a wall to stop the air from coming in.
I'm going to take what I don't think is a tremendous leap of faith and say, no, I don't foresee that happening.
Pipeline. Yeah. You support the pipeline, huh? From going through New Brunswick?
The proposed Energy East pipeline?
Yeah.
Well, I know that it can serve a tremendous economic benefit to the region, to the province, both with immediate jobs, but the short to medium term need to supply energy resources to the world, and we have one of the world's most sophisticated refineries just down the road in St. John. So I see the economic sense to see that project come to fruition.
But you also see the other side.
Well, it's got to go through a comprehensive assessment process, and so we've added some layers to the assessment process to make sure that Indigenous voices are heard, that local communities are heard. It's important in that the environmental assessment and impacts that project would have are properly assessed. What we do know is that pipelines are a safer way to transport oil than rail, and we're going to continue to use oil in the foreseeable future. If we're going to transport it, my view and the view of the government is it's safer to do so through pipelines.
I can't see that going through Quebec. That's one thing about those Quebecois. They're a little bit more radical than people in New Brunswick. I've been saying that. I told that to Brian Gallant 2 years ago. I can't see it.
Well, I mean, we've all heard the indications coming out of Quebec, but there's ongoing, I guess, conversations between federal officials, different provincial officials. But again, like the project proponents have to allow the process to go through a regulated environmental assessment process, right? And
I'm against it because if there's a leak and goes to St. John River, my God, the St. John River goes right through down to St. John, it would be a disaster. That's my reason. But anyway, okay. So you have any? Sorry. This is like straightforward. our idiot mayor, Mike O'Brien, I have no use for him, don't answer that. You got an opinion about having a pool here? That's all he talks. He doesn't talk. He doesn't seem concerned about a pool, but he wants to play a house in the flood zone. Don't answer that. A pool.
Right.
Is there people talk to you about getting a pool? UNB is going to shut down, and
Well, there's a lot of there are a lot of people in the community who are concerned about the future of a recreational and competitive aquatic facility in the community.
Do you think I could dive in that pool? What they have at One Park? Do you think I could take it?
I wouldn't propose you doing that, but
It would be
but I know
Shanabi, whatever they
there's a
call
lot
it.
of kids looking forward to the weather to change to get back in the splash pad.
What we're going to do for a pool?
Well, here are the challenges at play. There are a variety of infrastructure projects that members of the community want to see come to fruition.
The airport?
The airport has been identified by the different municipalities, by the chambers of commerce, by some of the large business institutions.
How many
the
percentage of
universities.
Fredericton takes a plane every?
Well, you see passenger ship is growing year over year, both for business and leisure travel.
I thought that was the Syrians and the immigrants that come here to Fredericton.
No,
Wasn't it?
goodness, no. And we've got the largest base
Be sarcastic
east of Montreal, just down the road. So the airport has been identified to me as the number one infrastructure priority for this whole region. So I'm working to get that done.
But you got a YMCA. Is there the YMCA here? There's no pool there.
There's a pool there.
Is there a pool there?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the big deal here?
I mean, it's
Yeah, I never thought
there's a
about that.
membership that people would need to purchase to use the pool to watch. I'm not sure.
And you know
of all
what? I
details.
never even thought about that.
Yeah.
We got a pool down. I should start going there.
Yeah. So I mean,
What's the problem here?
Back on the issue. Well, the community and the municipality are still identifying a performing arts center as
No,
their
what I'm
number
saying
one
is, what's the
priority.
problem with the pool here? Is it not deep enough? Is there a diving board there? I never seen it.
People in the community will say that doesn't meet all the needs of what this community needs. So I would love to see a pool come to fruition here in the foreseeable future should UMB go ahead as they've announced and have to close down this Sir Max Aiken pool. But it will take some coordination between the municipality and the municipalities, the province, the universities, the community as a whole, and the federal government, and we are having, I think, pretty constructive conversations about how all these pieces might fit together.
What's Trudeau going to do? What you guys going to do? What is Ottawa going to do about our major drug problem in Canada?
In what sense?
Well,
the opioid crisis
yes, and
right.
everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they were forcing kids on Ritalin. That's why you were honored to see me. I lived in a tent in front of the legislature for 6 months protesting how our kids were being prescribed Ritalin. Teachers were acting like doctors, and now it's getting painkillers. People are dying. It's an emergency.
Well, I mean, we've been able to work quickly with the provinces and with medical professionals across the community to help address, and law enforcement to help address some of the issues with the opioid crisis that is moving across the country.
It's coming here fast.
And we need to be aware of ensuring that we prevent the spread of that. And
How do we do it?
Well, there are law enforcement tools, border service tools. There are healthcare, preventative healthcare resources that need to be put into place, and that's federal, provincial, and community working together to address that. But we moved legislation back before Christmas, and I think early in the new year to help deal with that issue.
What we're going to do with that issue? Are we going to have rehab centers? These people needs help.
Those are all part of the solution to this. Rehab centers, injection sites.
Yeah, they had that in Vancouver.
They
had that in Vancouver.
Right, which we know are a better measure than having people use these sorts of drugs on the street in unsafe ways. So these are all part of the challenging solution to find.
You smoke marijuana, you?
I don't know that constituents are...
Have you tried marijuana? I smoked a joint last week. Yes, I did. And I smoked a joint 2 months ago. I asked some MLAs last year with this camera. Couldn't find one guy to smoke a joint. I said,
what I think is important in this whole conversation.
No, but what I'm getting is the marijuana law. That's what I was getting in.
Yeah,
next.
absolutely. So the law remains the law as it is right now. Marijuana is an illegal drug. We are bringing in legislation to legalize, regulate, and restrict access to marijuana. We have been working right since we formed government. And there's a lot of work to do over the next year with the provinces and with communities to ensure that there's a safe supply, that law enforcement agencies have the right tool to deter and prevent abuse of the drug, and most importantly, that we have the tools in place to keep it out of the hands of young people.
Now, what's going on there?
And keep money out of the hands of criminal organizations.
A 14-year-old, an adult is in the car with a 14-year-old. With dope, they could go in jail for 10 years. Did you hear that? Or if an adult supplies?
So in the proposed legislation, there are strict penalties.
Very strict.
If adults implicate young people in the use or transaction of cannabis. Those will be debated as the legislation gets debated over the next number of months. But we think it's necessary to ensure that there are strict penalties in place for adults who, I guess, involve young people in the use of cannabis. The whole goal here is to make cannabis less accessible for young people, and we can do that by taking it out of the hands of criminal organizations and regulating it through regulated provincial distribution.
Are we going to give money? I'm not a fan of the Fredericton police force. Money for. I mean, there's going to be people that's going to be driving high, and we don't have the qualification people to. Down the States, they got the same problem. How are we going to? Everybody's going to be stoned.
There are new tools that we're going to ensure that law enforcement have, and absolutely they'll have proper training to use those tools to detect people who would be over the limit on cannabis in their system. These are all pieces of couple numbers of legislation to deal with the legalization, regulation, and restricted access of cannabis.
And you never smoke marijuana. I'm not going to be assistant, but what I'm trying to say is I just wonder if you tried it. I smoked a joint last week, and my God, it's not the same marijuana as in the 70s or the 80s. It's strong stuff.
Well, part of the need to regulate it is to ensure that we understand the dosage levels that are being purchased by people. That's all a part of the conversation here, is to make sure that the supply of marijuana is that we have an eye on it from seed to sale, and to make sure that potency levels are known, so we know what people are buying and using in the community.
And if the police knew that if I smoke a joint, I keep my mouth shut, I mind my own business. My God, they would show up at my door, give me 3 joints of marijuana a day with coffee, and all I'll do is stay inside and give a thumbs up on Facebook, a thumbs down. Can't go outside, the sun hurts my eyes, Is that why you guys want to legalize this? So it keep people like me right home, quiet?
The primary purpose for this, but the primary purpose, and I think it's important for people to know, is our view on this has always been through the lens of public health and public safety. Make access for young people less available than it is now. Young people in Canada use cannabis more than young people in any other industrialized country, and they're doing it through unregulated and often unsafe means. And
this will be like the VLTs. Before Frank McKenna took over the VLTs. It was underground. The underground was making all kinds of money. What you guys going to do with all this money?
Well, when we regulate and sell regulated marijuana, we have, or cannabis, we have the opportunity to invest in prevention, public education, needed health supports for people who may find themselves addicted to this or any other substance.
Did I forget anything else here?
I'm sure there's lots more that you'll think of as soon as we finish this conversation.
Oh, no, don't worry. I got another page. I have another page here, but this part 2. Is there anything serious you want to say that I didn't bring up that you want to tell?
On this particular issue?
Anything.
Well, No, I mean on this particular issue, I think it's
Any issues? Anything else? But that is over there. It's over.
we're
It's
finished
over
now.
in about 1 minute. You
Look,
got anything to say?
I think it's. I would just want people to know that happy to have the chance to sit down and speak with you, and happy to be in Fredericton the times I get. Over the next 2 months, we'll set 6 weeks leading into Canada Day, and I'll be home. I think every weekend, and for the majority of the 2 weeks that we don't sit as well. So look forward to catching up with people. It's Canada 150. Look forward to seeing people out in the communities on Canada Day.
What's your website?
Matt DeCourcey MP.ca.
Phone number.
452-4110. Make sure I didn't give you my home phone number.
That was a close one. Home. Where's your office?
My office is at 494 Queen Street. If you're walking down Queen Street, it's right across from the barracks on the third level in the elevator above the credit union.
So, are you going to be? Are you going to be the best man to bring a lad to marriage?
I haven't been asked yet.